Johnson & Johnson's drug-making division, McNeil Consumer Healthcare, has been in the headlines quite a bit recently. The company has suffered, successive recalls of some very popular cold and pain medications such as Tylenol, Motrin, Benadryl. These drugs are in pretty much everyone's bathroom cabinet. McNeil has received hundreds of consumer complaints about its products, not just tied to the May recall of its children's over-the-counter drugs, but some of its adult products as well. Just this month, in fact, last week, McNeil announced that it was going to be laying off most of its workers at the Fort Washington plant that makes at least the children's versions of these drugs. The company also announced that the plant may be shut for an extended period of time, maybe into the middle of next year. That is the company's only manufacturing plant that makes all of its liquid children's drugs, over-the-counter drugs such as, Tylenol. We also know from the company that some of the adult over-the-counter drugs are also made at this plant. And while the plant remains shut, McNeil said it will try to shift some of that production to its other manufacturing facilities. They said they are completely sort of retooling and refitting this plant to come back into compliance with FDA regulations. It's still unclear, when production is going to come back online at that plant. There's some speculation from analysts whether or not that plant is going to eventually reopen at all. Well, we do know that the FDA a couple of weeks ago announced that it had expanded its investigation of all of McNeil's manufacturing plants. What CNN Money learned last week is that another manufacturing plant, this time belonging to a joint venture between Johnson & Johnson and Merck, has also received a negative inspection report. Certainly, that doesn't bode well for a company in this sort of environment when it is under such intense FDA scrutiny over McNeil. Today, Johnson & Johnson announced in its earnings call that the company has received a federal grand jury subpoena in connection with these recalls. So it definitely looks like the situation is getting much more worse for J&J in regards to this particular division. There are still some unanswered questions about this subpoena. What exactly is the government requesting of Johnson & Johnson through the subpoena? Has it initiated a criminal investigation? Is this a civil investigation? The Justice Department has declined to comment, and so has Johnson & Johnson. In Johnson & Johnson's call with analysts to discuss its earnings, CEO Bill Welton was not present. There was no prepared statement from him either. Some analysts pointed out that perhaps is not so much out of the ordinary, given that he's typically not on these calls, but in this environment where, FDA is investigating the company, lawmakers are investigating the company, now the company has received a grand jury subpoena, you would expect either his presence there or a statement from him. So some analysts were, a little taken aback that there was absolutely nothing from him.